So, it's my pleasure to be talking to you about the digital transformation trends in technology and how we are aligning them with 21st century skills. So there's no doubt in anyone's mind that digital trends are transforming the way education is being delivered across classrooms across the world. More importantly though, is the purpose aligned with the way these trends are emerging? Now in this hot pursuit, in the latest of AR, VR, AI, fourth industrial revolution, gamification, have we missed the woods for the trees? Now it's not a question of if, but when, at least some of these technologies will become mainstream in schools across the world. But the fundamental question must lie in, are we serving the purpose of 21st century learners? Or are we just finding fancier ways of lesson delivery through e-pedagogues? A course correction is required at a time when these trends are still evolving, when they're still forming, because we can ill afford another education system that prepares children for and tests children in skills that they won't even require in their lives when they leave them. Let's start right at the beginning. What did schools look like way back in our grandparents' time? Can we have the clicker? It's not. Yep. How did schools look like? Something like this? Now, what was a school way back in our grandparents' time? It was a place one went to receive information. One went to receive knowledge. And then came our parents' generation. They also had to go to a school to receive this information and knowledge, but they had access to this big repository of books called a library. A library. And then came our generation. Oh my God, we were so spoiled compared to the previous generations. When we were young, we didn't have to get out of the bedrooms, and we had access to these lovely encyclopedias, the word books. And then our children's generation. Oh my God, what a spoiled generation they were. An information surplus, right? Infinite amount of information available at their fingertips as compared to our grandparents who had basically an information deficit. But today's children, you've heard this term digital natives. Most of you have heard digital natives, right? Children who are born into this digital age. What does it basically mean? You see a little kid, a baby, they may not know how to write an alphabet or read an alphabet, but they can swipe their way to find that favorite nursery rhyme or cartoon on their smart device. So how can we prepare students for the future if we ourselves are still stuck in the past? We can't have 21st century learners being taught in 20th century methods by an education system that was conceived for and in the 19th century. So what is important for us now as educators? Is it just the process of information delivery? No. What are the latest buzzwords in education conferences? You know, across the world, education circles, people are talking about. What are these latest buzzwords people talk about? AI, VR, AR, MR, XR, blended learning, gamification, fourth industrial revolution. Let's get the audience in. What is AI? Professor Spun spoke about it. AI is artificial intelligence. AR? Augmented reality. It's not argumented, that would be quite a problem. VR, virtual reality. Let's see, MR, mixed reality, BL, blended learning. Anyways, a lot of school managements and governments are overzealously chasing technology without understanding its first purpose. What I would like to say in today's parlance, today's kids would call this FOMO. Does everyone know what FOMO is? Fear of missing out. That's what people are chasing technology for a lot of reasons, a lot of ways. Now Finland, known to be one of the top performing education systems of the world. I've studied the Finnish system in the last 4 or 5 years in great depth. Met with the teacher training colleges, National Ministry of Education, sat inside classrooms, spoken to principals. I was speaking to this one principal in a city called Jyväskylä in central Finland. And he was like, you know, Raghav, why should I be showing my children the different kind of berries on a smart device, on a screen, when I can just take them outside and show them in real life? While the point was limited, his message was loud and clear. You have to go to the underlying purpose of technology. Of what purpose is it solving, and is it aligned with the 21st century skills that children will require? day and age where more and more children and adults are suffering from this condition called nomophobia. Does anyone know what nomophobia is? Nomophobia. Yes, no mobile phobia. Ritika. Yes, she got it right. She got it right last time as well. No mobile phobia. It's a condition where people get anxious and stressed when they don't have their mobile around them. You know how you feel when your battery's on 1%, 2%? You get that stress? You know like how you feel when, say, you put your phone for charging at night and you woke up and it didn't charge. Oh my God, life is bad. My day is going to start bad because my phone didn't charge correctly or whatever. Nomophobia has actually become a condition. So in this day and age when nomophobia has become a condition and the virtual worlds of children are overshadowing the real worlds, we need to ensure the balanced use of technology in education and in their lives. Is the lesson delivery and the learning outcome improving? Those are two questions you have to ask yourself. After that, if the answer is yes, you have to ask, is my entire team bought into this idea and vision of this technology? I have gone through so many schools, not only in India, also in England and other parts of the world, where, people invest, managements invest in this wonderful technology. And the honeymoon period, first 3-4 months, everyone's excited about it. Everyone wants to really use it. And after 3-4 months, that fancy piece of technology becomes a fancy piece of furniture gathering dust. You see this in your schools. Why? Because there is no follow-through plan. There aren't teachers who are bought into your vision. There was a lovely example I'll give you. I was visiting a school in Essex, outside of London, and they had got some really high amount of funding from the government to build the Millennium Classroom. So they built this wonderful dome. You know like how an IMAX lab is, like in our IMAX theaters? They built this wonderful dome classroom and it was called the Millennium Classroom. The MP of that area got a lot of political mileage, media coverage from it, and everyone was wow, 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 everyone was clapping. But when I went and met the teachers, they're like, this is one year old and we don't have a budget to get anything repaired. We don't know how to get it repaired because even the simplest, the carpenters and the electricians don't know how to use that. The panels would move and all that. So you need that kind of technicians who could come and solve those issues. The teachers were not trained enough to how to use it. So they were given one training at the beginning of the session. After that, they didn't know how to use it. So what is the point of investing all of this and making it a white elephant? You have to have follow through to that plan. So what is education? Professor Pant spoke about this in the morning. What is education? What is the purpose of education? In one word, what is the purpose of education? Transformation. Simply, very fundamentally, education is only learning. That is what education. Why do parents send their children to schools? So that they can maximize their inherent potential and excel at what they are best in. So what is the role of the educator in the 21st century? Is it just an information delivery process? No. Yes, exactly. All children have access to limitless information at their fingertips anyways. The role of the educator in the 21st century has moved from being that sage on the stage. When we were in schools, a teacher would stand on stage and vomit out the information, and we would take those pearls of wisdom and take it into our brains. The role of the educator in the 21st century has moved from the sage on the stage to a guide on the side. From being that security guard of knowledge, that gatekeeper of knowledge, to a facilitator of learning. That's what your role as an educator is today. What is does everyone know what an endorphin is? What endorphins are? Endorphins are the chemicals that your body, your brain, and your nervous system release, which is the feel-good chemical, the pain relief chemical. It's how you feel when sometimes you're feeling really good about yourself, feeling really happy and confident. That is your endorphin rush happening. Do you know where the highest concentration of endorphin receptors are found in the human body? And Ritika is not allowed to answer. Where's the highest concentration of endorphin receptors found in the human body? Brain, yes, that's the right answer, but where in the brain? In the prefrontal cortex, no. Midbrain, no. It's actually the hippocampus or the learning centers of your brain. What does that mean? What can you analyze from that statement? The highest concentration of endorphin receptors, the feel-good chemical of our bodies, are located in the learning centers of our brain. To feel good to learn. Our brains are hardwired to want to learn more and to find joy in learning. Now, I gave you an option. You have to sit here in front of a blank white screen for 2 hours. Or you can maybe check your phone, check your Facebook, you can read a magazine, or maybe you can go to YouTube. You choose one of the latter, right? You're not going to choose to sit for 2 hours in front of a blank white screen. Because your brain is not hardwired to, you won't be learning anything new. Now the way the endorphin receptors are released in our brain is an inverted U-shaped curve, like a bell-shaped curve. What does that mean? It means that our learning has to be at the periphery of our knowledge base. So for example, okay, how many of you checked your newsfeed, your social media in the last 24 hours? A few? The rest are not being very honest. Your Facebook, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, whatever other social media. Now, if your newsfeed was filled in with information that was monotonous and the same thing again and again, would you keep going back to it? If it was filled in something that was really interesting and new information, but in a language that you didn't understand, would you keep going back to it? No, you would not. Because if the information is not at the periphery of your knowledge base, it's too distant or too monotonous, your endorphin receptors are not being released. They're not actually, you're not getting the joy in learning. Yet, that is what our education systems do. A lot of our classrooms are doing exactly that. At certain levels, students are just doing monotonous learning, or it's too distinct for them, which is why they're not thinking about what you have to teach. I often ask the audiences in my workshops, what is the right mood for a child to be in when entering a lesson?
Happy.
What mood should a child be in when they're entering a lesson? Happy? Excited? Positive? Curious. That's the one. Now, the 4 most common answers I get. The child should be happy, child should be positive, child should not be hungry, child should not be sleepy. These are the 4 most common answers that I get. Now, if the child is happy, maybe he's happy because it's his birthday tomorrow and he's going to get a lot of gifts. Or maybe he's happy because his favorite cricketer scored a century yesterday. How does that make your teaching result in better learning? No, it doesn't. If the child is positive or not hungry or not sleepy, your teaching doesn't result in better learning. The most important mood for the child's brain to be in, the child's brain should be curious, challenged, and have a purpose to the lesson. Now, what is purpose? What is the purpose to a lesson? What should the purpose be? What is the typical thing a student does when you hand the test back to him or her? What's the typical thing that happens in a classroom when you give the test back? Hey, how much you got? How much you got? Typical situation scenario, right? Now you think about it. A child who does badly in maths twice or thrice, say fails his exam, what does he start believing? I'm not good at maths. Maths is not my thing. Numbers, I'm a failure in numbers. The same child will play a video game at a certain level 15 times, fail each of those 15 times, but still try for the 16th time and probably pass. Why? Because there's still a challenge, there's still a purpose. The child, have you ever heard a child say, you know, maths is not, video games is not for me. I'm a failure at video games. Now, video games are not my thing. No child has ever said that. Never. So the purpose of your lesson, let's talk about chemistry. Do you know what neutralization? Yeah.
The child, when he's playing the video game, the results are not being quantified anywhere. There hasn't been tests, this is the mark which I got, this is the mark which my child, the other friend got.
Yeah.
And it is being judgment. There is
Yeah.
no judgment of what he's doing in a video game.
There's no judgment in the video game, she says, which is correct. But in the video game, you do tend to have gamification where, oh, he reached level 17, but I reached only level 15. But that works as an incentive. They do the judging, but it works the other way around. It's a positive reinforcement as opposed to us, who we put a label on the children's forehead. Anyways, let me carry on. So, neutralization, chemistry. You all know what neutralization is all about? All of you? Acid plus base. Typical way we learned neutralization back in schools when we were in schools. Children, learn this, it's very important for your exam. Acid plus base equals to salt plus water. Yes, NaOH plus HCl equals to NaCl plus H2O. Children, memorize this, it's going to come in your exam, very important for your marks. Why are you all writing it down? Is it balanced or not, the equation? Now, is the child really going to form any associations in his brain to remember that? Let's see a video of a teacher in Russia. Oh, we don't have the video. Yeah. Can we play the video? This is a teacher in Russia teaching a similar concept. Let's see what she does.
About to get a very unusual mark in his chemistry class.
School in Russia looks a lot stricter to school over here.
There's no way that a teacher is actually cutting her students in class.
So, has Ilya really pushed his teacher too far?
Don't call the police. It's a fake using some clever chemistry.
Yeah, stop the bad acting, Ilya. The knife's upside down. But what's behind the bogus blood?
This kind teacher at first sterilizes the student's arm with an orangey solution that she calls iodine. But it isn't. It's in fact a chemical called ferric chloride, which is iron and 3 chlorines.
And she's also using the colors ammonium thiocyanate on the knife. Now, when you bring those two in contact, there's a reaction producing iron thiocyanate, which is that red color that we think is blood.
So, no Oscar for Ilya. But his teacher gets an A for showing us some cutting-edge chemistry.
Now, I'm not trying to propagate cutting a child's hand in class. I know that you'll find this really funny, but there was a conference that I went to and somebody said, sir, but how can you show something like that? This is not right at all. It's a fake. If you still haven't understood what happened in the video, it's a fake. She's holding the knife upside down. It's some chemical. She's basically teaching neutralization through an experiment like that. What are the children going to remember? The children in the class are going to say acid plus base equals to salt plus water. Or are they going to remember their friend Dimitri who is fainting like that? What's happening is we're building association in the child's brain. What are associations? In scientific terms, they are synapses. A synapse is basically a connection between your neurons, your brain cells. The more synapses that you build, the more associations that you build between the brain neurons, the child is going to remember that much more. So this is building association, building purpose to the lesson rather than just telling the children acid plus base equals to salt plus water. So you have to cultivate curiosity to ignite imagination and inquiry. Once you can spark that curiosity in the children, learning will happen organically, it will happen naturally because our brains are hardwired to want to learn more anyways. You have to be able to build the curiosity in students. Typical thing that I get, after presentations, usually orientations to parents, and they'll come up to me, sir, please speak to him. My child, he doesn't stop asking questions. Full time, morning to evening, asking questions. I don't know what to do with him. Sir, you tell him something. I first go and ask him, child, what's your name? Okay, Raj. First of all, congratulations. Why? Because if a child is asking questions and 1,000 questions, that denotes that the child has a healthy, active brain. So if a parent ever thinks that no, my child is not asking questions, that is a cause for worry. You want your children to be asking 1,000 questions, even the ones that you think are irrelevant, because you don't know how to answer them. So don't just talk to students. Don't just give instructions to them. Talk with them. Give them choices. Let them own their learning. You have to build heuristic learning. Heuristic is what? Self-directed, self-owned learning. That's extremely critical. Now, a study was done where they found what percentage of students do you think consciously enter the right mood before a sporting activity? What percentage of students do you think enter the right mood before they enter a sporting activity? Most of them. Do we have a percentage? Any percentage numbers you want to guess? 80, 90. What does that happen to an exam or test at school? None? No, I'm saying percentage of students do you think consciously enter the right mood before an exam or test? 60, 10, 10, 60, any other numbers? 40, 50? Homework at home? 0? Very few? 10%? Okay, let's start exam or test at school. What's the typical mood? What is the scene happening outside an exam hall? Miss, 2 minutes, I'm just coming in. I'm just finishing my last minute revision, I'm just coming in. Typical scene outside an exam hall. Now, what is happening to that child? What is that child going to learn in the last 2 minutes that he hasn't learned in the last 2 weeks? Nothing really. Yet, what is that mood that the child has built in? Stress, fear, anxiety, tension. Now, what is the chemical that your body releases with stress? Cortisol. No, not adrenaline. Cortisol. Cortisol is the human reaction to stress. Okay. I'm going to have to rush this up because I'm out of time. But cortisol, the stress hormone of the human body. The prefrontal cortex, which is the CEO of the brain, is essentially being flooded with cortisol. You have given the child a lesser chance to do well in his exam than to do better. What about homework at home? What is the purpose of homework? Revision, to reinforce the concepts that was learnt in class. That's the purpose of homework. Yet why do children do homework? To avoid punishment. To be able to play, I'll get to play. If you don't play, if you don't do your homework, you will not get to play. If you don't do your homework, I will complain to your teacher, she will give you a remark. Is that the purpose of homework? It's like, you know that line from Sholay, 50-50 कोस दूर जब कोई बच्चा रोता है तो उसकी माँ कहती है बेटा सो जा वरना होमवर्क करना पड़ेगा. Why have we made homework into gabbar? Why have we given homework a bad name? Now if you as an audience are forced to do something that you hate doing, and I made you hate doing it, and then ask you to do it, even if you do it out of my fear, you will do it in a perfunctory manner. You're not really going to gain anything from it. Yet that is exactly what we do. So to give you the results, sporting activity, 90 to 100% of students enter the right mood before entering a sporting activity. Exam or test at school, that falls down to just 10 to 20%. Homework at home, 0 to 10%. So why are we giving children homework? What is the purpose of it? And what is this great thing that all of us are chasing? You know, education systems across Asia especially. What are we all chasing? The holy grail. Marks, tests, scores. Now what are tests? Tests are meant to be diagnostic. They're meant to diagnose your strengths and the weaknesses of the child so the teacher can adjust her lesson delivery accordingly. Yet tests in our country have become a mode of putting a label on a student's forehead. You got 90, it's very intelligent. 80, good. 70, average. 60, duffer. Yet we do that, right? And frankly, what are tests? Today, the way tests are designed are basically a measure of your memory retention ability. How well you can memorize. So if you get 90 and you get 75, it tells me you can memorize more than you can. But is memory retention a skill that the 21st century kids are going to need? No, because they have Google on their fingertips. Even if you can remember as much as an encyclopedia, the next kid has Google on his fingertips. And Google on his fingertips today, by the time they grow up, they will be auto-prompted with the information that they require for whatever task they have to do next. So what is the purpose of this then? In the 21st century, the world economy is not going to reward you for how much you know, but for what you can do with what you know. Not for the amount of knowledge that you have, but for how you apply the knowledge that you have. Thank you very much.